Hello, welcome to JIBRIN Angle on Oweleke TV. My name is JIBRIN, and this is my angle. We have Barrister Austin Manta as always to discuss several topical issues of the public, and I hope you stay hang on and enjoy what you are about to hear. Barrister, thank you once again for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
For those of you who don't know, probably this is your first time of coming on this show. Barrister Austin Manta is a very, very senior legal practitioner. In fact, I refer to him as an icon when it comes to legal practice. For someone who has been doing one particular thing for over 40 years in active practice, that means obviously that person should be a household name in the profession. All right, so that is it. And he is a public affairs analyst. For those of you who have been following us, you will understand why he is. I really, really respect his public, his current affairs analysis. He's quite always on point. That so. All right, let's kick up on. Let's kick off on this. So we shall be talking about several. We have so many things to talk about today, Barrister. Okay, let's start with this. Let me play this video, and then we'll come back to talk about the content.
Excellency, my contribution, my little contribution to your speech is that the problem of Africa, problem of Nigeria, rests clearly on leadership. It is bad leadership that is the problem of Africa. It has nothing to do with colonialism. We were colonized years ago. Today, it's African leaders that have turned Africa into a gigantic criminal enterprise. And I'll give you an example. Let me use this university.
All right, Barrister. Actually, the point has this is an old it's about months ago. I think if you remember, but there is a point I want us to talk about there. Peter Obi said the problem of Nigeria or Africa at large is squarely. Now, mark that word, squarely. That means absolutely, as you lawyers will say, anything that is absolute is final. That is, it's everything. That's just the end of it. That's the beginning and the end of it. So, squarely lies on leadership. I disagree with him. He is partially right and partially not completely right. Okay, let me use that. That's the right word. And Nigeria's problem and Africa, I think Nigeria's problem is not peculiar to it's not unique, it's not peculiar, it does not stand out in Africa, in the entire African problem. I think Nigeria's problem is an African problem because what is happening in Nigeria is replicated in other parts of Africa as well. So, and the problem we have in Nigeria, the basic problem we have in Nigeria is colonialism. We got our independence over 60 years ago, about 65 years this year, October. And but by default, or technically, we are still being colonized. A sort of our British, our colonial masters, Britain, they are still controlling us. The Europe, by extension, still controlling us. When we talk of Euro, we talk of IMF and other global European bodies or whatever. So, apart from the Europe, we have the US too. We have external bodies actually control and dictating our economy, controlling and dictating who gets elected, who rules us or whatever. So while Peter Obi is right that our problem is leadership, but it is not squarely. Leadership is not squarely our problem. We have our colonial masters as part of the fact they are the foundation. They are the foundation of the problem. Barrister, do you have something different from what I just said?
Not exactly. I would fully agree with you. Why leadership is the main problem of African countries is by no means the absolute problem. It is by no means 100% problem. Just like you pointed out, Where the foundation is not right, there will always be a problem. The problem of the leadership is failing to recognize the foundational inadequacies of the African countries, both in terms of the politics, in terms of the economy, and in terms of the social structure. So the problem and fault of the leadership is their inability to recognize the problems associated with the foundations of the various countries, and then to take remedial steps to remedy them. But to say that the problems are exclusively leadership, I don't think I will agree with you. And by and large, not just the colonial factor, is also a followership problem as well. Not just we cannot just blame the colonial factor solely. There are various factors. The followership, the leadership. It is said that a country or people deserve the leaders they get because the leaders come from the followership. So it's not exclusively a leadership problem. Let's recognize. Look, the borders of the African countries were arbitrarily formed. People have been cut into countries. Part of Nigerian people, part of my people are in Cameroon. Till tomorrow. Yeah. Part of T people are in Cameroon.
Oh, part of T? Are you serious?
Yes. Part of T people are in Cameroon. Part are in Nigeria. Wow. And in many African countries, if you go to the DCR, Democratic Republic of Congo, and the rest, and you go to Rwanda, and this is one of the problems driving insurgency, driving problems. You have the same tribe in this country, the same tribe, part of it in the next country. And these people will want their kith and kin to be part of them. This has created serious problems. The colonial masters are the architects of some of these foundational problems that are very intractable for our countries up to tomorrow. But our failure is our failure to recognize them and to do something about it so that we can have a proper polity, a proper social.
All right, Barrister. Now, actually, you made serious points. Apart from the colonialism and the leadership issue, there are other things you just mentioned, which has to do with followership. Followership. Now, let me expand a little on that. Actually, when it comes to followership, is another serious problem you just mentioned. It's a very, very serious problem, very deep. Because when it comes to followership, it's not just about our leadership that are actually into this followership stuff. We individually as Nigerians, we follow as well, in the sense that we seem to copy everything. Our leaders they take instructions and take directives and copy the Western way of administration or government or governance rather, the Western way of the Western policies, administrative policies, sort of. Then we individually again, we copy the Western way of life, Western lifestyle, Western way of speaking, even the accent. We are everything about us is just copying others. Instead of being original, I don't get it. Why can't we be original? Why can't we do things ourselves? Why can't our leaders formulate our own policies based on our own environment, exclusive or peculiar to our own environment? Why do we have to? And that is one of the banes of the Nigerian problem today, because we seem to want to copy everybody except us. We want to copy everyone outside Nigeria except us. That is the problem. Forgetting that whoever we are copying, whatever they are doing over there, they introduce such things. They created such things based on their own way of life, both based on their own environment, based on their system, what works for them. So you can't take someone is feeling headache, he or she takes Panadol, and you are feeling you are having a stomach upset. You want to take the same Panadol to solve the or paracetamol or whatever you call it to heal stomach problem. That would not work. That's the problem. That's what Nigeria is actually, what our leaders and we Nigerians are always doing. Barrister.
Exactly. Like I said before, the colonial structure that was imposed on us, both politically and economically. Economically, we are tied to an international economic system that is skewed against us deliberately, and it's difficult to come out of it. Politically, the system has been an alien system has been imposed on us that is not part of our culture, that we didn't have before. And it has been difficult to extrapolate or extricate ourselves from it. I was just reading an article by one American that there was nothing in the American Constitution or by the founders of America that mentioned democracy. That there's nothing in the Constitution of the US that mentioned democracy. That actually the framers of the US Constitution were against the word democracy.
A republic, yes.
What they wanted was, and what they enshrined was a constitutional republic.
Republic, yes.
So, and he gave the example that in democracy, 51% we hold 49% in bondage, and the 49% are not free. But in a constitutional republic, 99% cannot take the rights of 1%.
Yeah.
That is what their founding fathers.
That's why we have the electoral college.
Yes, that is. But you see how the whole thing has been skewed into democracy.
Yeah.
Now they shout democracy as a form of imposing on us and subjugating third world countries.
Honestly.
We hear every day democracy, democracy. Come to Nigeria, that democracy has no meaning. The issues that define elections here have nothing to do with development. So as long as these issues are there, the problem and the fault of our leaders is to identify the root cause of the problem, the colonial superstructure that still governs us, both on the economic and political level, and to devise a system that works under our peculiar circumstances, and then from there do our economic breakout. That is the fault of the leadership. And to that extent, majority of the problem also goes to the leadership, because they, being the leaders, they have to bring us out of this slavery, out of this subjugation, both economically and politically, and they have not been able to do that. But to say that it is solely the responsibility of the leadership is not quite correct, because we, the masses, we, the followers, have not been able to hold our leaders to account.
How can we?
It is from us that the leaders come out. So the leaders are not much different from us anyway. They are not very far from the followership. So the followership to have a problem, just like but the majority of the problem must rest with the leadership.
Yeah, again, I don't know if I agree with you on this issue of majority of the problem. I don't believe it's equally this problem, the blame should be equally shared amongst the elements of the bane that we have in Nigeria right now. The truth is, why I said so is because now the colonial masters, like you mentioned foundation, and I mentioned it earlier as well. Foundation matters a lot. The moment when the foundation is faulty, there's nothing you can do to build upon. If you build upon a faulty or what do you call it? Anyway, let me use the same word. A faulty foundation, such building would not stand. So the colonial masters are the foundation of Nigeria. So until if you cannot deal with the foundation, you just cannot deal with the building itself. So what we have to do is to deal with the foundation, then come back to the building, rebuild or whatever. That is it. So now, what we have is that the foundation is the one controlling the building itself. Now, except the foundation is big, except the foundation is taken away, the building cannot stand. The building will continue to stay on the what I'm saying is this: the colonial masters have set a foundation that will actually coerce Nigerian leaders to eventually to end up falling back to them. A sort of, that is my problem. That's why the blame is a 50-50 thing. This that Nigerian leaders are taking the full. Of course, they have overwhelming whatever of the blame, but honestly, the blame should go equally both to the majorly to the leadership and the colonial masters, because the colonial masters, they have a grip on us and they are not letting this grip go. And letting this grip we the people have to be the one to actually pull ourselves off the, not our leaders. You mentioned it earlier. We the people actually have a problem because we have to force our leaders. We want to force both our leaders and our leaders and the colonial masters to release that grip of. We have to force ourselves out of the grip. That is the problem. We are still within the claws of the colonial masters.